Well, that's good.
Thanks. Sorry.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Osoyoos Town Council, Monday, February the 4th, 2013, 2:00 p.m. in Osoyoos Council Chambers. The first item up would be the adoption of some minutes from previous meetings, Committee of the Whole minutes from January the 21st, regular open minutes from January the 21st, and special open minutes from January the 30th. Is there any input from council on to those? Hearing none, they'll be adopted by consensus. There was a possibility of into their business arising. There was a resolution coming forward, but there was a rider on that resolution stating that if it was completed, and for this meeting, the negotiation has not been completed, so it will come up at the future meeting. Under late items, is there any late items coming onto the agenda? Just the one then, and that would be the report on slow food, Thompson, Okanagan. That would be presented by Mr. Romanko. And that would appear under business 3. Moving right along, we come to delegations. And we're happy to have an Interior Healthy Communities Initiative by Betty Brown, the Community Health Facilitator. Ms. Brown, please.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, councillors. It's a pleasure to be here. I do work with Interior Health, and I'm here today to tell you about 2 new initiatives. One is IH's Healthy Communities Initiative, and the other is a unique initiative to the Okanagan-Similkameen region, and that's a Healthy Living Coalition. I'll talk to you about that at the end of my presentation. Today I have a couple of take-home messages. One is to let you know that we have this new initiative in Interior Health and have dedicated staff who are to work exclusively with local governments throughout the Interior for the long term to improve the health of communities. And secondly, to discuss the coalition, which is a brand new entity that's in the formation stage. Before I go into particulars, I'm just going to do a few background informational slides. We know intuitively why we have to work on health. Healthcare costs are going through the roof. We know we have an aging population, and the bulk of the population, the baby boomers, are entering into their retirement years. And while Interior Health is very much responsible for providing excellent health care, we aren't able to work by ourselves to keep people out of hospital. It takes a whole community to do that. And health occurs where we live, learn, work, and play. Here's a recent slide from the Public Health Agency of BC. And it basically shows how much of our tax dollars are, it's a very small slide in terms of type, I apologize, but the one to the left is the cost of health care, and the next being education. And obviously, if we're able to more efficiently manage our health resources, and that includes positive health, there will be more of our tax dollars available for other initiatives in the province. There's something called the social determinants of health, or not new to you, I know, from reviewing your website, but there's 10 or 12 issues that significantly relate to a person's health. And those social and economic conditions account for about 50% of the impact on health. 25% of the impact on health is specifically healthcare services, our genetics, and our built environment. Fills out the remaining aspect of the impacts on health. And we all know that individual behaviors like don't smoke, don't drink too much wine, exercise, eat well, those are really important, and we all have to be responsible. But in addition to that, the things that contribute most to health includes your income and your social status and your social connectedness in a community, your social status. And there's a couple of examples. Many rec commissions do things like providing a free swim pass for disadvantaged families, but it still doesn't help all families if they don't have the money for a bathing suit or a sitter or have a way to get to a swimming pool. Some population groups know they should be more active, but in some cases, if they're struggling with anxiety or depression, they may not just have the oomph to get out the door. They may not know the social rules or be able to understand how to get involved. And lots of times, there are working poor families who are just too tired at the end of doing 2 shifts to actually think about doing something for their health. So our philosophy, which I believe is your philosophy, is that it's a shared responsibility to address the social determinants of health, like income, early childhood development, nutrition, exercise, etc. And it requires a collaborative effort to keep people well, and no one sector can do it alone. So the whole premise of our IH Healthy Communities initiative is to work in partnership with local government and their partners to improve the health of citizens. And that would be offered to every community in the interior. So this kind of is an illustration of what we've done to date to put this program in context. For those of you who have heard of the Healthy Families BC initiative, it was launched by the province in May of 2011, and it had 4 primary areas: healthy lifestyles, healthy eating, Healthy Start, which is a prenatal registry, and then healthy communities I'm here to talk to you about. In February of this year, we had a local government consultation to which I believe you all would have been invited. I know 2 of your staff members attended, Gerald Davis and I think it's Sarah Dennison, and they participated in our consultations. Those consultations were conducted by the province to ask local government what would be the most effective way that the province and the health authorities could help local governments to move forward to continue the good work of creating healthy communities. So all of those discussions and recommendations and inputs were gathered together, and they have come up with their framework, which is to have health authorities dedicate staff to work exclusively with local governments. There will be some small grant monies coming from the province, and the focus of IH's program is to look at 5 key pillars. 3 of them are modifiable risk factors for chronic disease, so those things that individuals can do: healthy eating, active living, and tobacco reduction. And then looking at the built environment, we have kind of engineered exercise and health out of our daily lives to some extent, and so looking at ways we can reintroduce that, as well as priority populations and settings. And that would be where the unique considerations of the community would be brought forward. If there was a particular issue of concern, that's where that would be addressed. So we've come up with our IH approach, and now we're in the process of meeting with local governments across our region, of which there are 59. It's a lot of groups. And we're sharing information, and we're at a variety of different stages with how we're working with local governments. We're inviting partnership agreements, which is simply to ask, would you like to work with IH for the long term? It's not a legally binding agreement. As I quip, it's more like going steady rather than getting married, because there's no legalities, neither party's required to provide any money. But it is an intent to walk together for the long term, and for IH that's new, for like a 5-year period to work together to improve the health of the community. So here are the pillars that I mentioned earlier. IH's program is to work at a sustainability level at the environment and policy level for these 5 pillars. And that can be things like many of the things you already do, but continuing to develop like pedestrian-friendly streetscapes, connected communities. So for example, you wouldn't see too many cul-de-sacs where nobody had any pathways that they could walk on to stay active, and it was more convenient for people to be connected to their neighbors through a good network of sidewalks and so on. Aging in place or age-friendly communities is an example of an initiative you could work on with for seniors. Tobacco or smoke-free policies in community buildings or municipal buildings, parks, beaches, etc. Healthy eating programs include community gardens, edible landscaping, public produce initiatives, and so on. And healthy built environment can include applying a health lens, as I mentioned earlier, to new developments to ensure that there are health-promoting aspects to all developments. So I did want to recognize you. I was not able to do justice to your initiative, but I had a chance to review your website, and I was just delighted to see that Mayor Wells' greeting on your website talks about your bounty of fresh fruits and vegetables and your focus on healthy, active lifestyles. I noted that you've completed an ICSP almost more than a year ago, which is incredible, and the issues that I've already spoken about, health equity issues like affordable housing and shelter, wages and benefits to promote health, and all the references to health and local food was really laudable. So I want to say well done, Osoyoos. Very excellent job, and you're clearly one of the leaders in creating a healthy community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I wish I had prizes. But, you know, it's the health system. But what do we have to offer? Specifically talking about the IH role, as I mentioned, we have staff, I being one of 4, that act as a focal point to local government staff and elected officials to provide you access to expertise and resources. If there was something that you had underway and you wanted data, or you wanted, you know, we have nutritionists, we have tobacco reduction coordinators, etc. So sometimes it's challenging to get to the right person. We can simply be that focal point in the short term. We have lots of epidemiologists, access to public health nurses, and can negotiate, you know, allocation of time depending on projects, etc. And lastly, through our initiative, there's the Healthy Families BC will be having a web portal which is exclusively designed for local governments and healthy communities. So it will, first of all, be a resource for like-sized communities to share tools and resources. And secondly, it will be a great platform to recognize excellent work that's already underway and say, hey, have a look at this. Here's an example of a health promoting ICSP or a given initiative that you may have coming up. So, and we think that's really important because people like to be recognized, but more importantly, it also helps others get some great ideas for their own communities. So lastly, this is the really exciting part, I have to say, about this whole program that I'm telling you about. In the Okanagan Similkameen, there is a group of partners that are working together, what I call the core partners, for a healthy living coalition that is to be the first known regional coalition to address healthy living. We basically in the Penticton area, there's a physician, a retired physician, Dr. Jerry Carr, who's been active in a sort of a one-day event for 5 years called the Healthy Living Fair in Penticton. But he's had a vision for a much larger initiative, and as such, his society is championing the formation of what he really wants to be a regional coalition, which would, we hope, include you. Currently, there are 6 partners. Interior Health is very active. The school district in Penticton being 67, Penticton Indian Band, the regional district and the board have already approved this in principle, and the Healthy Living Society, which is the entity that the retired physician is the lead for. And our plans, I'm very actively involved in that, our plans are to broaden that core group to include all municipalities, school districts, and Indian bands within the Okanagan Similkameen Regional District. Oh yeah, and then the UBCO and possibly the Medical Foundation, some potential funding partners would be involved as well. One of the key and almost primary benefits of this model is that with that many stakeholders working together, it is very, very likely that funding would be quite successful. When, you know, major federal and provincial funders love to see collaboration, and we know that through collaboration there's a lot more innovation and often efficiencies. And so that is the hope for this coalition, I'll go back, is that when it makes sense to do so, the Healthy Living Coalition would work regionally and yet still retain the very necessary local action that would address the unique needs of the given community. So the steps for this today are two-part. Because IH, we answer to the Ministry of Health, we have a measurement indicator that if we're able to encourage local governments to partner with us, the Health Authority, that is one of our measurables for gaining ground in this initiative for the province. And the vehicle through doing this, so we're just one of the members, the means of implementing this partnership in the Okanagan-Similkameen would be, we're recommending through the Okanagan Healthy Living Coalition. The core members are just in the process of finalizing their vision, mission, and mandate, and have a tentative date for a full coalition meeting with all stakeholders, including all the municipalities, yourselves, Indian bands, et cetera, in April. On the 12th of April is a date, you can even pencil it in if you wish, to be a part of that, that planning for the next step, to develop a strategic plan and a one-year work plan, and then the funding plan for the first phase of this regional healthy living collaboration. So today I'm really here to ask if you would be willing to resolve or agree to resolve to partner today with IH as a step towards that coalition, and then we would look forward to your participation in the coalition as well.
Oh, great.
So thank you.
Great. Thank you for that information. And I had traveled on a little holiday through the United States, and exactly what you're talking about is just really being driven home down there. What with their health concerns and some of the challenges that are out there with obesity and diabetes and those same ones. And United States always seems to be a little bit ahead of us in the time frame.
Yep.
And it's just out there from the president of the country right on down. Every level is really, really being out there pushing health, and because really, truly, nobody can afford it at the rate we're at right now. And it's just eating up so many of our tax dollars, and getting more so. That it really has to start from within. So I really applaud this initiative, and I'm sure the town of Osoyoos will do everything we can to keep promoting this. I'd like to see us get some new initiatives just in case you do have prizes on your next visit.
I may, you never know.
So council, please, some input, please. Anything from Councillor Ryan?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Well, this is certainly welcome, and thank you for checking our website and seeing what we are doing. We've certainly been working very hard to do these kinds of things, and so I can see us supporting this initiative and becoming involved in it. Absolutely.
And I guess without a resolution, do we want to put one together now? Do you want to bring it back in the regular meeting, or should we revisit at our next meeting? Ms. Van Vienen, any?
It's really up to council whether you want to
Okay.
do it now, or you can do it at the next meeting, or whichever you wish.
Okay. Council, any? Councillor Rhodes?
Just like to inquire, do you have any resolution wording that's available to us, or?
This is, the wording that I have on this last slide was the one we used in Oliver, and we're just asking if your council will agree to partner with IH and to join the coalition. Is that
Okay.
adequate?
Certainly. So that would be a resolution moved by Councillor Rhodes and seconded by Councillor Plant. Any discussion on that? I think we all agree that this is the right step forward. No discussion on that. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We are part of the team.
Yay, that's awesome, welcome. We're gonna it's gonna be a fun initiative, and it's gonna be a really meaningful initiative, so I look forward to working with you. Thanks
Great.
so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Next matter on the agenda, we're looking at, there's nothing up on water on this meeting, nor correspondence. Moving into H, bylaws, under number 1. Mr. Armstrong, please, planning technician on implementation of signed bylaw, MTA ticketing information.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. On December 17th, 2012, Council adopted the signed bylaw, and at their subsequent meeting on January 21st, 2013, Council gave first 3 readings to Municipal Ticket Information Amendment Bylaw number 1279.05 for enforcing the signed bylaw. The ticketing bylaw covers categories of offenses, fines, and responsible enforcement officers. So this is the last piece to start enforcing our signed bylaw. So the options are that Council adopt the bylaw, direct staff to make some minor revisions before proceeding, or decide not to proceed at this time. Staff recommends option 1.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Council, please. Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll move to adopt the bylaw as recommended under number 1.
Okay, and that seconder, Councilor Ryan. Discussion on that, please. I guess I have a little bit. There was going to be this transition period, and you were going to be out there presenting a soft approach to the bylaw itself and the infractions and the MTI and that. Has that started? Are you going to start? How's that coming, Mr. Armstrong?
Where we're at right now with the bylaw is we're putting together some of our information packages still. We have our draft application created, and we're receiving our first application. I expect it in my inbox right now, so that's pretty exciting. Okay. And then when it comes to some of the enforcement measures, that'll be a softer approach at first. When it comes to some of the prohibited signs, where we'll be entering into the 3-year agreements with people before they need to remove their animated signs, that's the flashing ones, okay, or their rooftop signs, that'll all be done in person. I'll visit those folks personally and explain to them the process if they're not aware of where we're at yet. Most people are. We've been working on it for a while, but it'll be all done in person, and then we'll sign an agreement together, and they'll have 3 years. So what this bylaw is doing is just giving us the tools for not to deal with those existing signs, but to deal with any future infractions to our sign bylaw for the most part, right? So that we have this key tool in our toolbox.
Okay, great. Any other input, questions from council? Maybe we could just so this is just final adoption of the MTI. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Again, Mr. Armstrong, under the Board of Variance bylaw, this is where we're piggybacking with the Regional District Okanagan Smokeamine, looking for final adoption. Your report, please.
Sure. So, like you said, we're piggybacking with the RDOS because Osoyoos needs a Board of Variance, but there's been a reluctance to create a Board of Variance just for Osoyoos, because we might have 3 citizen volunteers that wouldn't have sufficient work to do. So accordingly, to create administrative efficiencies and meet the Local Government Act requirements for a Board of Variance, town staff suggested piggybacking members with the RDOS's Board of Variance, and thereby, on the 21st of January, Council gave first readings to Osoyoos Board of Variance bylaw number 1295/2013. The next step following adoption of the bylaw is that Council will need to, by resolution, appoint the same members as the RDOS Board of Variance to their board. These members have all agreed to sit on the board for Osoyoos, and they are Dave Corbell, Jim Cavan, and Marg Chadsey. Council may adopt the bylaw or propose revisions to the bylaw, or decide not to proceed and propose an alternative course of action for a Board of Variance. So the implications for the community are that the public will benefit from having a recourse to go to a Board of Variance, or where applicable, they can continue to go to council for a development variance permit. A joint Board of Variance avoids appointing 3 residents to a town board that may never meet. Organizationally, it is a legislative requirement to have a Board of Variance, albeit in the last 7 years, we have not had a Board of Variance, any Board of Variance applications, and very few development permit applications, development variance permit applications. So anyway, the budget implications are that town staff time will be needed to process these applications, and there are administrative efficiencies that I mentioned before. So staff recommends option 1, and that council adopt the Osoyoos Board of Variance Bylaw 1295-2013 and appoint Dave Corbell, Jim Cavan, and Mark Chazzy to sit on the Board of Variance.
Thank you. Councilor McCordoff, please.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to recommend option 1, that we appoint Dave Corbeil, Jim Cavan, and Mark Chazzy to sit on the Board of Variance. I think we're very lucky to have those 3 available, and I move that.
Thank you. Councilor Plant. Seconder. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thanks a lot, Marg. Great to have you back as part of the team again. See you when you get here. Next item up would be the Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw 1297-2013. Final adoption. Report by Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. And just in terms of background for council, this is to renew the town's line of credit with the Bank of Montreal. This bylaw received first 3 readings on January 21st. Section 177 of the Community Charter allows the municipality by bylaw to establish a bylaw to provide for the borrowing of money in anticipation of revenue. This bylaw authorizes the municipality to borrow up to $1.5 million to meet current expenditures and pay amounts to meet municipal taxing obligations. This line of credit is set up at the Bank of Montreal. If this operating line of credit is used, the revenue from property taxes must be used to repay the money borrowed. And in terms of implications, this allows for operations to continue until funding comes in for taxation, should we not have sufficient amount of reserves to carry us through. And we have always, we've never apparently used this particular line of credit. And the options as presented by the finance manager is only one, and that's to adopt the anticipation borrowing bylaw.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Ryan?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to move that we adopt Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw 1297-2013.
And the seconder, Councilor Rhodes. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. That closes off the bylaw section, and we're going into business 1, Cottonwood Park, the Cottonwood Park agreement with 3 Phase Adventures, Inc. Report from Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Van Vienen, please.
Thank you. At the regular open meeting of January 21st, 2013, Council awarded the use of a portion of Cottonwood Beach for human-powered water sports to 3 Phase Adventures, Inc. Council had directed that an RFP be put out for use of Cottonwood Park for human-powered water sports. Council awarded the license to use to 3 Phased Adventures, Inc. for a term of May 15th, 2013 to September 30th, 2013, with a possible 1-term renewal upon consent of council at a rate of $2,600 for the term for the purpose of a stand-up paddleboard operation. The license to use is attached to this report for council approval.
Thank you. Council's direction, please. Councilor Plant.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to move option 1, that council approve the license to use for Cottonwood Park to 3 Phase Adventures.
Okay. And that seconder, please. Councilor McCordoff. Discussion. I guess just after having the applicants appear before council, and council going through their presentation, and then they were the successful applicant, going to be a great addition to the waterfront of town of Osoyoos this year. I think we've got them in the right place, with the right beach, with the right bottom. everything lining up for this to be a great success. They're looking at putting on a meet. I'm thinking of the word that it would be, but like a tournament where people would come to town and it'd be a bit of a show and that. So they've been successful in other areas in British Columbia, and looking forward to that addition for our town. Anything further on that? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Under business again, 2013 Bylaw Enforcement Hours. This is a new report, and this came up through our budget deliberations. We were always looking to save money for the town of Osoyoos, and we were looking around to have sort of a proposal there to see if it could be tweaked by our Director of Corporate Services. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Van Vienen, please.
Thank you. As you mentioned, at the special open budget meeting of January 30th, staff presented a proposal for increased bylaw enforcement for 2013. After review, council requested additional information on bylaw enforcement needs and further options for bylaw enforcement. Staff contacted the bylaw enforcement contractor and requested park stats for June, July, and August 2012. A copy is attached. Council will note that there were 444 bylaw officer interventions in the parks in June, 452 interventions in the parks in July, and 504 in August. Upon further discussion with the contractor, it was noted that the parks issues did slow down by mid-August. However, the allotted hours for parks had been used up, and the contingency for additional hours were used to get through to September. Based on this information, staff reviewed the proposal and prepared 4 new options for council to consider, along with the original option for increased bylaw enforcement. The original option is described in the staff report dated January 3rd and attached to this report. The only suggested changes in the following options are in the static officer for gyro lions and additional hours columns. With the increased static officer, it was felt that the additional hours could be reduced in some cases. All other columns remain the same, as it is staff's belief that these are the necessary increases to provide a better service to the community. So there are 4 options along with the original option, and it's basically where council wants to go with the services for bylaw enforcement. I don't know if you want me to go through each one of these, or?
I think you could.
Okay. So option 1 was the original option, and that was for general enforcement to increase from 35 hours a week to 40 hours a week, park enforcement to increase, static officer to be more so than, or it was going to be all week, every day from June until September. Closing the parks, we need to have 2 officers together doing that patrol. A new dual patrol with the RCMP, and additional 294 hours if needed. The first option had an increase of $26,960. The second increase reduced the amount of static officer hours and the additional 294 or contingency hours, with a proposed increase of $17,638. Option 3 reduces the static hours to be from June 16th to September 2nd, but include the weekends in June. And that increase is proposed at $15,589, and that is the one that staff is recommending in this report. Option 4 was to reduce the static hours and have them operate from June 16th to August 18th, and only weekends from June and August until September on the other weekends, and to reduce the contingency hours to 150, and that was an increase of $15,102. And the final option was just to have static officer in the parks from Thursday to Sunday from June to September, to reduce the contingency hours to 200 for a total increase of $13,247.
Okay.
And then an additional $10,000 for RCMP.
Right, right.
On top
that
of
was
this.
on top of all of,
On top of all of
this.
this,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And I know that we agreed with that. That seemed to be very successful, and certainly had council's approval from what we experienced last year. So thank you for that report. And what were council's wishes on this? Councilor McCordock, please.
Yes, thank you. In looking at the 5 different options, I am tempted to support option 2, and partly it's because it starts on June the 1st and goes to September the 2nd, and I think that last year, as we recall, June was a month that we wished that we'd had extra support there, and we didn't. So rather than just leaving it to the weekends, which seems to be in option 3, I would prefer to see them start June 1st and be there, be on site. That would be my preference.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ryan? Okay, as a seconder. And I'm going to go back to corporate service. Would you like to speak to that further?
Okay.
That was your
Sure.
okay. Thank you. To Ms. Van Vienen, because you had recommended number 3 and that was 15.5, and this one here is a savings of about 17.6, and I do appreciate that early start. So I was just wondering, we must have pinched it off somewhere else then between 2 and 3 to make it a bigger saving on that one. Can you give us?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, they're not savings, they're increases.
A less of an increase.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Lesser increases, right. Right. Sorry. Sorry. So do you want to just talk on those?
Sure. Well, the one for it's option 3 was to just have the weekends for the first 2 weeks of June and then start June the 16th.
Okay.
And that does give a savings of about $2,000 to council.
Right.
But Councillor McCordoff is correct that we do have a lot of issues in the park already at the beginning of June. You know, a lot of them maybe are on weekends, but we do have a lot during the week as well. So, you know, if we were going to have a cut, that would be the preferred time, would be in the beginning of June rather than the end of August. Because of the stats that we had for the park infractions in August. So that was the only reason that staff went with 3. If you wanted to reduce more, that June was the preferred cut.
Right, right. Well, again, it seems like I support that earlier start at trying to head these off too, because once you're behind get behind that 8 ball, it's pretty hard to get a handle on it once they've set the pattern for the year or attempted to. So, further input from council, please. Councillor Plant.
Yes, I'm actually now listening to that argument. I do also agree with that, that if we do nip it in the bud at the beginning of June, that will take care of some. And, you know, this is I'm sure we'll be looking at this at year to year, and so we can find out, you know, where it ends up into the August, September, so then maybe this changes a little bit, and we'll see where we are for June. But I think this really covers us off and puts us in a good situation, and really relates to where we were last year and some of the problems that we may have had. So after this discussion, I am veering towards option 2 as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I was going with council recommendation number 3, but I guess I can see the sound logic in it, and it is a little bit more money than option number 3, but I can support number 2 because of that early start, and I think it's important, especially when we get good weather early in June and that kind of thing. The parks are well used, and certainly this will boost that up. And I do, just for clarity, I would like to mention that this budget amount started off at around $26,000, and we are reducing this down considerably over that. It's not like we're adding it to anything. We are reducing the original budget amount down. And subsequently, that $10,000 that's also asked for there, I just want to make sure that that was in the wording of the recommendation as well. And how important is that? Some of the difficulties that we struggled in our park area, particularly at the Gyro Park area, were almost virtually eliminated overnight when we applied that new budget and that collaboration with the RCMP, and very, very effective, all positive, all good, and I'm sure glad to see that back in there again this year.
Okay, anything further on this? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thanks for your work, Ms. Van Vienen, and having to bring it back again and fine tune it a little bit, but certainly you have council's support on this. So let's hope we got the right numbers.
Thank you, and this will be going on the budget now for Wednesday's meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Going to the addition to the agenda, business 3, slow food. Mr. Romanko, please. We did deal with this earlier this morning in a different meeting, and bringing it back now. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Slow Food Thompson, Okanagan is looking for support to assist with hosting a national meeting and conference in Osoyoos. The conference will include opportunities for local businesses to share their slow food products and local residents to partake in culinary events hosted as part of the conference. And just as some additional background information, slow food is the opposite of fast food. This is the opportunity to really get in there and cook, and your ingredients are the organic ingredients and local ingredients, and this is what is being promoted through this conference. Slow Food, the local committee has attached a proposal that identifies a number of requests for service to assist in the delivery of this conference in our community. The conference is seen as an opportunity for national and international exposure of our community assets. In terms of implications, the community has the opportunity to include national and international showcasing of our community, and also for residents to partake in culinary events. Organizationally, the organizational impact is directly related to the work involved in hosting this major event at the Sonora Center, and any other requests for service that may be approved for delivery. Funds are available in our economic development budget. The other budget impact is the effect of providing services in kind that may affect the community services unit from achieving revenue targets. And sustainability, certainly the slow food movement assists in promoting sustainable concepts. The options as presented by the administration include to clearly identify what services will be provided as service in kind, and identify a dollar amount in total contribution. Second option is to identify a total amount of community contribution as identified in the sponsorship levels based on a total of in-kind and cash contribution, and let the administration work within existing policies with the organizing committee to determine what services and cash contributions may be made to the event. And option 3 is to provide no financial support to this event. Administration recommends option 2. This option provides the organizers flexibility to identify needed services and opportunities where the community contributions would be most beneficial. And again, going back to council's decision making, you would identify at what level council wishes to contribute, if in fact you do wish to contribute at all.
Thank you, Mr. Romanko. So who's going to throw something on the table for council here? Councillor McCordoff.
Thank you. Yes, we had quite a discussion about this morning, and I think that I would certainly take the recommendation option 2, which gives us a little bit of flexibility, and we can work as both perhaps a cash contribution and in-kind sponsorship. And I really like the thought that we can involve some other people. Of the Market on Main people and citizens in our town to be part of this. So I would recommend option 2.
Great. And seconder for that, Councillor Ryan. Discussion to that, please. Any further discussion?
If I may just add, council would also may have to, through a second resolution, identify the level of contribution then.
Okay. Councillor Plante.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And in addition to what we talked about this morning, we had kind of, they gave us their sponsorship levels. And personally, I would feel very comfortable at the diamond level, which is the $5,000 cash or in kind.
Okay. And I think we could do that as a friendly amendment. Is that fine with the mover? Okay, friendly amendment. So we're at that $5,000 level. of cash, and you know, this could involve some things like the Sonora Center and some of the things that we normally charge groups for. They could possibly be waived, and there could be a cash contribution also. And the cash contribution was coming through economic development, Mr. Remenko?
Yes, from our economic development budget.
Okay. Anything further on this? Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to speak to the motion and just to say that I've supported it, and I think this is it's in our early season, and I think it will be good. It's something that I think is very much in tune with a number of the things that we've been having in our community over the past couple of years, where we are trying to combine food and beverages, especially our local beverages of wine, and you know, we've had courses being taught at stores here in town, and I think that it will certainly position us, because this is an international organization. It's based in Italy and has chapters, or convivium they call them, around the world, and particularly in Canada. We have a number of them. I think it would position us as being an ideal spot for this the fusion of you know, good food and drink, and could have some additional spillover effects. But I think it would certainly is in keeping with the kind of character that we see our region as having.
Those were great comments. Thank you for that. Anything further coming from council? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Into the next segment of the meeting, notice of motion. Any motions coming forward? Hearing none. Looking at reports, general and Sun Bowl cash requirements to February the 4th, representing balance in the following accounts, amounting to the general account, $103,989.32. Sun Bowl, $1,855.18. And receiving for information only, payroll accounts in the amount of $68,225.88. Any council input into those? They will be adopted by consensus. Thank you. Building permits for the month of December 2012. Closed out the year with a nice single-family home with an attached garage on Chardonnay Court in the amount of $370,000. I just have to scroll a bit here to get the monthly numbers here. Total for the month, there was some renovations and additions and some fire damage, and total for the month was $443,000. Total to date for 2012, this would be the final, would be $4,458,210. So they are going up. They are going up. They're still not at the heydays of the 07s and 8s and that, but we are steadily increasing the values of construction. And the total to date for 2011 was $2,500,000, and again 2012 was $4,500,000. So it's a nice improvement to see, and hopefully we're going to keep on that upward plane. Taking us now to committee reports, and the first one is the CAO report. Mr. Remenko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Just a few of the things that the administration has been involved in the last couple of weeks. Starting in the community services area, where Kyler Nermso started as the program supervisor for 1 year, taking over from Sarah Dyson, who had her baby boy on January 19th, a little early. So we had to scramble in terms of some of the work that needed to be finished off, but we're well in hand. The community services grant program has been advertised, and the deadline is February 22nd. Desert Park had a water line break and is currently going through the cleanup process. The majority of the water damage was contained in the bedding area. The archery group is looking at setting up a temporarily in the gymnasium, depending on the availability of its use. And in keeping with our active living and healthy lifestyle community, we've added 2 pieces of equipment to our fitness room. an adaptive motion trainer, and a vibe plate. Corporate services, finalizing contracts and leases, including bylaw enforcement, public washroom caretaker, and Cottonwood Park license to use, and Gyro Beach license to use. Had some discussions regarding the options for a future aqua park, and research on goose control and management plan. Finance, they just gave me 2 words, and that's budget and audits, which kind of close our year and start our year at the similar time, so they're pretty busy in that effect. Planning and development, they've been meeting with representatives of the Wish property on the removal of this property out of the ALR, and something will be coming to council in late March. Revisions are nearly completed to the Gyro Park report, and when received will be circulated to all Charette stakeholders for review, and staff are reviewing the latest fire hall floor plans and cost estimates, and will be taking a report to council shortly. In terms of myself, met with the museum group to discuss their future of their new museum and some of the program activities. Met with Reflection Point representatives to discuss future sewer services. Attended a regional meeting to discuss human relation issues. Met with the Penticton Library manager to discuss service models. Met with BFI representative, an update on the waste container program, and just a quick note on that is that they'll be expanding into a new area of town, and they've been getting some back, and then it seems like we have about a 50% wish to continue in that particular program. Completed a call with the resort municipality communities to discuss program administration, continue to refine the 2013-15 business plan, and also had some discussions with BC Assessment on split assessment rates for some of our local units, starting to do some research to deal with the issue of units that are not charging hotel room taxes and using their units illegally, and the effects on assessments. Kind of a bigger issue that has been brought to our light with a letter from the Mayor of Sun Peaks, which I'll be bringing to council in the next meeting or 2. And that's all we have for right now.
Great, thank you, Mr. Romanko. We'll receive that by consensus. Thank you. Heading for councillors' reports, the first one would be Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So kind of a brief report today. I wanted everybody to know, or at least I hope everybody knows already, but just in case you don't, council is fully engaged in our budget process right now, and we've done several reviews and gone over basically all of the points in the budget. And you know, it's a good budget this year. It covers everything right from fixing potholes right through to our dog park and all the big projects. We have lots of infrastructure improvements, some small ones and some big ones in this year. And I wanted to just bring attention to a couple of things that are going to be happening over the next couple of weeks regarding our budget. And you know, as a councillor in Osoyoos, you often get those questions about why did you do this and why did you do that, and why are you fixing this road and this sidewalk needs to be done, and things that are all pertaining to the budget. And you know, it's important that everybody understands that the public can be involved in this budget process, and we're taking a little bit bigger step this year than we have in the past, and we're going to be offering an opportunity to view that process on Wednesday right here in council chambers. It's going to be a webcast, and we're going to go through some of the highlights of the budget and some of the things that we're looking at that may or may not be changed. And we will also hopefully do our first reading on Wednesday. Following that, on the 13th of February, we will have yet again, and I hope I got the term right, an open meeting where any resident in Osoyoos can come down to council chambers down here, and it's going to be held in the evening to help accommodate some of those people that were not able to make it during the day. It will be webcast, and you can stand up in front of council and you can talk about matters that are pertinent to the budget. After that process on that particular day, we will attempt, if appropriate, and after some debate and that kind of thing, hopefully do our second and third readings on that particular day. Subsequent to that, hopefully we will have moved forward far enough in the budget process that at our next meeting after that on March 4th, that we will be able to finalize our budget by having our final reading. And really, to go over these few dates, I know people, watch and they listen and they see words come out of councillors' mouths and that kind of thing, but really this is an awesome opportunity to really get on board and make comments about things when they're important, when they can be changed, and so we can get your ideas and opinions about it. Next August, next September, when you're reviewing something, that's the wrong time. Now is the time to do it. And once again, I just want, and I know I'm being a little redundant, but on February 13th, that process with that open meeting, I believe is the first one that we've done, certainly since I've been a councillor in the last 4 years. It's not that common. A lot of councillors, like to encourage the staff and everybody to get together and just ram through this, but really I get a sense, and I know for myself, we want to hear from you. If you have concerns or questions or comments or anything on any of the budget items, please come down to that meeting or the one on Wednesday and participate in that process. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. I'll give you the opportunity. Do you want to, just because he did such a great presentation on the budget, and Council is looking at doing reserve funding for the future needs of the RCMP, which would be down the road, quite probably and possibly 2016 on the census. So do you want to just talk about that as something that people may be interested in coming to the meeting on? Is Council going into reserve funding? Because there's just two different schools of thought on it, and if Councillor Rhodes would like to talk about that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I can a little bit. First off, I may need a correction on one of the dates. Is that open meeting on the 13th or the 12th?
It's on my calendar.
Whatever the Tuesday is.
Yeah.
12th. Initially, we talked about the Wednesday the 13th, but then it was changed to the 12th.
Okay, I apologize. That date for that open meeting is in council chambers here on February 12th. At 7 o'clock.
Yes,
Thank you.
7
Yeah,
o'clock.
all kinds of additions here. So hopefully we have it straight. I was a little distracted. You want me to comment on the RCMP
Well,
process,
just because it's new, we're putting reserves into possibly using them in 2016. We end up with reserves, but they're usually excess monies at the end of the year. It goes into a reserve fund, and those are targeted, semi-targeted funding. Now we're actually going to put money forward into paying for future needs. And if you want to cover that, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. So one of the highlights of the budget this year is that pending paying for our policing in our community right now. And for anyone that's not aware, you should be well aware of the fact that when a municipality in British Columbia reaches that 5,000 level in population, you automatically default to being responsible for your own policing. And with that responsibility comes paying the cost. And we're looking at a tremendous amount of increase into our budget. I'm going to say somewhere around the $700,000 per year mark. I might be out a couple of $100,000, but it's so expensive that we need to really pay attention to it. Staff has recommended that we put through a tax increase in addition to all of the regular things that we deal with in our budget, and that increase has stimulated vigorous debate in council, and I think everyone understands the necessity of reserves. There's a lot of controversy in municipalities now about having reserves, period, but I think there is general consensus around this council that we do need to start putting away some funding when, for that eventual thing that's going to happen in our community. We're pretty darn close. I don't know what our population figures are, but it's not going to take us very much. As Mayor Wells suggested, perhaps maybe even in the next couple of years we may achieve that. Certainly the next census will tell us. And, you know, it's a tough decision for us to make. There's all different kinds of variables. There's different ways of handling it. And we'd like to hear from you on this particular subject. If there's nothing else in this budget, that would be a significant contribution to hear from any residents in town what their thoughts and ideas and opinions are in that. And, you know, I should also mention that the budget information in its entirety is available from a number of different sources. I believe it's on our website right now. You can go there, you can have a look at it. That would include some of the changes and some of the proposals that we've had recently. And in addition to that, if you came down here and asked for a hard copy of it, if that was any benefit to you, I'm sure you could get that as well. But this is a big issue. It's something that we need to be prepared for. There's no indication that anything in the provincial legislation is going to change to help us out financially. And we, you know, once again, we'd really like to hear from you. And that would be one thing that you could definitely come down and talk to us about it with your ideas on that topic.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. That was you did that very well. And just so the public isn't too worried, it was a 1%. I thought I better get that out there just in case you were getting quite excited. It was 1% to go for RCMP reserves, and there is an additional hike on there too for operational and capital expenditures. Quite small, but do have a look at it. And if you're interested, get a hold of council in any of the known methods, and let people know your feeling on that. Next councillor would be Councillor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I participated as well in the budget deliberations, and I'll just add one thing to the excellent report you got from Councillor Rhodes, and that is that one of the sets of minutes we approved today, the minutes of January the 30th of this year, were the minutes of that budget meeting, and they talk about the changes and so on, and they're kind of the easy reading side of the budget. If you want to have a look at that, that's also on our website, and I think that might be a nice complement to the actual documents themselves. In addition, I was at a couple of other meetings, and one of them was the meeting of Destination Osoyoos. We've had a number of meetings of Destination Osoyoos for marketing purposes, and also a meeting of the Board of Directors, and I'm going to say a little more about that in a minute. And also attended a meeting of a group that's trying to better the environment for agricultural workers here in the Valley, and it's called the Farm and Community Team Okanagan Samokameen. And so I've been monitoring and observing their activities on behalf of council. But I would like to say a little bit more about Destination Osoyoos, and that is that we have a new type of relationship, of course, now for the last several years with Destination Osoyoos, where they are our marketing arm, the marketing arm of our community. And happily, they've moved a little closer to us, so that they're right next door now. And they're not organizing events anymore. They're just really concentrating on marketing. And they have been doing some extensive use and testing of social media to very good effect. They've decided that they'll do monthly contesting on their Facebook and on their website, and just getting a tremendous amount of take-up and visits from people, and it's quite exciting. And so the members of the board have been working very hard to review and to approve their plan for the coming year, and so I'm excited about it as well. So I would encourage you to go to the Destination Osoyoos website. If you're a Facebook person, you can also go to their Facebook page. and see what they are doing and some of the things that they're talking about there and that they're promoting in our community. And lastly, I did have the pleasure as well of going, as I guess many of us did here in council, of going to the museum's consultation with their architects and planners about programs and exhibits for the museum when it does make its move. And they were asking us about the things that should be stressed and some of the uniqueness of our community and how we felt how much of the exhibit should be their permanent collection or visiting or other things. So I was happy to be a part of that, and nice to talk and have people writing down what you say. I mean, that's just a very a very exciting sort of situation. So anyway, I'm sure they got lots of ideas, and they will be working those through. And when they open in a couple of years in their new location, I'm sure that we'll all be pleased with how all these ideas have found a place in the new museum.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Plante, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to bring it to awareness a couple of different programs and different events that are happening. One was actually mentioned by Mr. Marenko, which is the Community Service Grant Program. Just wanted to bring that into light. You will find that information on our website. This is for assisting nonprofit organizations and community groups. We do this every year with the different organizations. There's funding and grant applications. They need to meet certain criteria. Those criteria you'll find on the website, and there's a grant application there. And they need to be in, again, that's Friday, February the 22nd by noon. It's very important. We had 16 applicants, I believe, last year. We expect even more this year, and looking forward to going through that process with Councillor Ryan this year again. And again, we just want to make sure everybody's aware of that, and that's for the February 22nd deadline. The other one that I wanted to bring up was the job fairs. Again, these are both on our website. We have a job fair coming up on Valentine's Day, I believe it is, February 14th. Just waiting for it to come up, but it's February the 14th, I believe, from 11 to 6, and it's held at Watermark. And the event details as described here. It's BC Jobs Plan. This spring job fairs will take place in 22 different BC communities from January 22nd to March 28th, connecting BC British Columbians who are looking for work with employers who are looking for qualified employees. And so I would encourage everyone to participate, to head down there and take a peek at some of the different employers and such that are coming. To get chosen for this, I think, is great for us as well, since there's only 22 different communities involved. So those are the two I just wanted to bring up for awareness, and again, those are both on our website. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Councillor Plante. And finally, ladies being last, Councillor McCordoff, please.
Thank you. So it was interesting to hear from everybody else, and I won't repeat things, but I was also involved in the museum planning along with some of the other councillors, and I'll have to put my glasses on because I thought I could see. And the budget meetings, of course. And I'd also like to point out that on February the 14th, Valentine's Day, there's also an open house at Destination Osoyoos. So for anybody who wants to drop in there and have a look at their new facility, please do so on your way down to visit the job fair at Watermark. There is a restorative justice training session that is happening in Osoyoos on March the 1st and the 2nd at the Sonora Center. And Terry Kolaski, who's involved with this, the RCMP in Penticton, is going to conduct the training for the committee that Councillor Ryan and I are on, and there's 4 members of the community as well as the RCMP. But this training session is open to anybody else in Osoyoos who would like to go. Particularly, she said, School District 53 and service clubs. we're certainly hoping that there will be something put in the Osoyoos Times. We'll figure that out and possibly send out on the town e-news as well, and we'll get that organized. So that's March 1st and 2nd. I'd also like to say thank you to the 30 people who came out to a Red Cross help meeting at the Sonora Center about 2 weeks ago. Mr. John Ritchie from the Red Cross in Kelowna came down and talked to the various volunteers about the options that we had. Mrs. Cook, Virginia Cook, has been very much instrumental in rounding up volunteers and doing her very best at trying to get the help cupboard reopened in Osoyoos. It is certainly an option, and we're looking at that. There are also other options because we've discovered that it requires a lot more time and effort and space and concerns than when Charlotte St. Johanser did it. She did a fabulous job for, I think, 27 years, and things are a little more complicated now. But I would just like to say thank you very much to all of the citizens who came out and spent a couple of hours listening to all the things that were needed. And the last thing, I had the privilege of attending a dinner recently put on by Connie Osoyoos down at the Senior Center. I was delighted to go because I'd heard last year that it was a really positive experience, and fortunately my friends and I got tickets before they sold out, which happened very quickly. But it was a fabulous Ukrainian dinner, and put on by Connie and her committee, and I would imagine all of the people at the Senior Center. But the highlight of the whole thing was to see the entertainment afterwards, and there were many local citizens who took part in the entertainment of various singers and entertainers from days gone by, although some of them are still alive. I have a feeling that Councillor Ryan could give Cher a good run for her money, because you could have fooled me. It was an amazing evening. If laughter is the best medicine, I had my full dose that night, and I'm certainly looking forward to it next year, and I'm hoping that Councillor Ryan and his wife will be part of it again. So thank you.
Thanks for your report, Councillor McCordoff. I guess just taking right off where that was, when you put on stellar events such as the dinner at the seniors, and that was sold out, and the very same night was the gala dinner for Desert Sun Counseling, and they were sold out. So I mean, how neat is that? You'd go, well, I'm sure one of them's going to detract from the other. Two completely different venues, two completely different crowds, two completely successful shows, and both of them sold out in a small town in January. So congratulations to the people behind the scene. They are always the important ones when we're here, and those volunteers and the ones that work so hard. I was looking at a couple people there. I won't mention their names because of the exclusion factor, but I'm going, wow, did you ever put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to making this a success? So you know who you are. Stand up and take a bow. Thank you very much from the town. Again, on town good news, last Friday did two proclamations. It's interesting because many towns don't do proclamations anymore. They consider them a lot of effort, and they're conflicting in that. Osoyoos and Osoyoos Council, we continue doing proclamations. I think they're an important part of our town. For example, on Friday at 10 o'clock, we did the proclamation for the heart and stroke, and it's for the month. And obviously, being Valentine's Day in there, it's that month of February. And they are out there The volunteers are out there knocking on doors and doing collections and canvassing for money to the Heart and Stroke Foundation. Very, very worthwhile and certainly needed. And then following that, I did a proclamation for the Rotary Club in Osoyoos. Very active, very big part of our town, jumping right in with both feet into that splash park situation, and they contribute both locally, worldwide. They have polio eradication. They have education components for reading for students and that. So their week is coming up, and I'm sorry I don't quite have the dates, but I'm thinking around the 18th of February is Rotary Week in Canada, and certainly in Osoyoos. I just have one other item that's come up, and it's a bit of a personal one, and I too am going to receive the Queen's Jubilee Medallion, and I just found out on Thursday. I didn't even really, I still don't know who nominated me, other than it came through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, and Mayor Hovannes and Oliver and Area C Director Patton are going to have the presentation done by Alex Adamanenko and Oliver there. So I just have such mixed emotions on it. I'm going, and then I'm going, that's pretty neat. So it's all fairly new to me. And again, I'm going to track down who did nominate me. So the very least I can do is say thanks. So yeah, I'm kind of chuffed. I think that's the word you use. Anyway, that's my report. Thanks a lot and good afternoon. Oh, no, that's fine. Oh, sorry, I do have one more. I actually forgot the EDAC minute adoption from January the 14th, and I'm sure they'll be adopted by consensus, but I'd just like to, there was a couple of things. They had a great planning session that they had coming up, and no, this wasn't them. That was the chamber. This was EDAC. They'd already done their retreat, but they are working on and do have a rough draft of the provincial correction facility, the relocation guide. So they're going to they actually have this guide, but it's changing as it goes. It's morphing and it's getting better, and they're correcting it. So they are working on that. They are also doing a visitor satisfaction survey, and that's in conjunction with Destination Osoyoos. They're looking at that to see what the improvements are. There's an economic development model recommendation to council, and they're really gung ho. This is basically a young group of eager entrepreneurs in town that are driving this. They are a part of the Slow Food. They are a part of the Intrepid. The Intrepid is one of the new bike races that will be coming through this year. I believe it's Kelowna to Penticton. I'm always in dialogue. I'm trying to get Osoyoos as one of those ends. I don't know how I can do it, but Holly Planta has put me in touch with the individual that's organizing it, and we've been having some dialogues, although mostly missed at this point, but we'll see if we can bring that into something a little more fruitful. There was a great report to the group from the Desert Park, and there are some things that are going forward at Desert Park, just in case you've been thinking that nothing's happening. There's going to be some quite a bit of new color up there, and it's just sort of in the works right now, but there's going to be some good additions to Desert Park, and that's a very, very healthy committee. So I'm looking for the adoption of those minutes, which there's no further. Okay, Councillor Rhodes McCordoff, all in favor? Great. Now I'll take that motion of adjournment. Councillor Plant Ryan, all in favor? We're adjourned, and good afternoon, and I see the sun shining out the window. How good is that? Goodbye now.
Good.